Once upon a time, Disney adapted multiple fairy tales found in the works of the Brothers Grimm. Many decades later, they would buy Marvel Studios and adapt their comic books. Now let's take the two and combine them into a bastard love baby that shows genes from both, but it's still a horror to behold. Mocktober concludes with the greatest team-up that Disney should have done before the Asylum could. It's time to see if Avengers Grimm is not that bad. Welcome, one and all to It's Not That Bad, the podcast that looks for A grades in B movies. Hello to all of our listeners in Nampa, Idaho, and around the world. How the heck are you guys doing? And when I say that, I mean, how the heck are you guys doing? Because we have come to the end of Mocktober. And there's only one way to, I guess, finish off phase 2 of our Mocktobering, because this is the second official Mocktober here on It's Not That Bad. So yeah, phase 2. And what better way than to finish off with a mockbuster of the end of phase 2 of the MCU, which was Avengers Age of Ultron, Avengers Grimm. And here to join me to avenge this film, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing?
Oh, I see what you did there.
Right?
Pretty cool, yeah.
I thought so.
I approve. I thought you were going to, liken me to a Disney princess, but no, Avengers, I can wear that cape.
Right? Well, I mean, in all fairness, while trying to watch this movie, you were fighting off trying to be Sleeping Beauty.
You did. You went there.
I called you out.
Yeah.
Dear listeners, my lovely wife, Carrie, has movie narcolepsy. But yet the funny thing is, and I've discovered this over the years of doing this podcast, is that when it comes to like the big budget action flicks, yeah, that's where your narcolepsy kicks in. For bad movies, you have the world's most infinite level of patience for them.
You know what's funny, though? The most surprising was when you brought me to the theaters for Godzilla.
-1.
Well, not only that, but the
Shin Godzilla,
more
yes.
recent one. You know what? I honestly thought, oh, this is going to be a fantastic 2-hour nap. I'm ready for it. I'm so down with it. Subtitles, I'm gone. However, I stayed awake and intrigued for both.
Now, you say it's a fantastic 2-hour nap for you. It's not a fantastic 2-hour nap for the rest of us because you snore.
No. I was channeling. Yes. I was channeling my inner Shin Godzilla.
What, by like flopping on the ground and like wiggling your neck around and knocking over cars and buildings?
I was thinking a great roar.
That too, I guess. That too. All right, so we're talking about Avengers Grimm. So every year now, this has been our second year that we have done Mocktober, and we put together the list. And do you just shake your head at some of the films that I find for this?
Yes, I generally do. In fact, yes. Answer to that, yes, especially grading on a curve movies.
But I'm talking specifically about the Mocktober type films, the ones we cover in October now. And guess what, dear listeners? We're going to do it all again in 2026. So, yeah, fun. But it always baffles me that there seems to be infinite room in this world for mockbusters to come up. Because, of course, studios still put out blockbusters. So, of course, the mockbusters are going to follow.
Thus proving that there's no unique and original content. It's always, a copy of a copy of a copy and then a spoof on a copy.
Yeah. For every name brand, there's a Kirkland brand. For every Amazon, there's a Temu. And for every major blockbuster there's
an Asylum.
There's an Asylum film, it feels like. All right. So it's time to wrap up Mocktober with Avengers Grimm. But before we do, it is time to take this last entry in our now annual journey into Mock World and trailerize it.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, which part of this film is the fairest of all? Be it the villain, Rumpelstiltskin, attempting evil with panache, a fairy tale trooper up to so much no good that he can be hit with a Rico charge. Be it the Man of Iron, An incredible bulk of a man with so much lead paint on him he would set off a metal detector. Or perhaps be it the collection of princesses and maidens bound and determined to thwart evil with a combination of LA nightclub fashion, devastatingly dull dialogue, and powers found nowhere near any source material. The only superhero fatigue here is the incredible urge to nod off while watching Avengers Grimm. Not rated, because Rumpelstiltskin made you forget you ever saw this.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Now, I will admit that while recording the trailer eyes, Carrie had this look of like, what do you mean by a Rico charge? Remember that Casper Van Dien played Rico in Starship Troopers.
Okay, I get it.
Which feels like one of his most and only notable roles from his entire filmography. But, I love the fact that actors still find work, even in Asylum films, and say what you will about them. Some of them actually do have some good things to say about them, as we will hear. But let's get into who is in this movie. The movie stars Casper Van Dien, Lou Ferrigno, Incredible Hulk Lou Ferrigno, Kim Leopoldo, Lauren Parkinson, Millen Sarley, Mara Fairclough, Riley Vanderbilt, Elizabeth Peterson, and Justine Heron. It was written and directed by Jeremy M. Einman. Now, he has also written and directed a movie called Sinister Squad, which is a Suicide Squad mockbuster that also happens to use fairy tale characters. I'm seeing a pattern here.
Ooh, I'm down with that.
Maybe next year. Maybe next Mocktober. The movie was released April 14th, 2015, only a couple of weeks before the wide release of Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, this is also kind of a mockbuster of the TV show Once Upon a Time, which also uses fairy tale characters in that. Of course, it was released straight to DVD and straight to streaming, as all Asylum films seem to do, unless, of course, it's Sharknado, because Sharknado was awesome. And there's no budget listed. But the reason why we are here, not just to celebrate Mocktober, not just to celebrate all that is less than, are the critics. Over at Rotten Tomatoes, this film has no official tomatometer, but has a 16% popcorn meter. At IMDb, it sits at 2.7 stars out of 10 for a 27% score. At Letterboxd, it's 2 stars on the nose for a 40% score. And at the movie database, it's at 42%, giving this film an aggravated aggregate of 31.25%. Now, when you're looking at a film from the Asylum, you can really only compare it to other Asylum films. So between 16% on the popcorn meter and 42% on the movie database, are we in the right range for this? Like that aggregate of 31.25%. Remember, we're talking Asylum films. We can't compare this to Age of Ultron, which I know for a fact, Carrie, is your favorite Avengers film of all time.
That it is.
Is this at 31% where it should be on the ratings?
I think 31% is fair.
It's fair?
Right down the middle. Like 16 is low.
16 I find is very low for this.
Very low. 40 and above, getting a little high for this.
might be a tad generous.
It's a reach.
Okay.
It's a reach. But I think 30-ish is like a magical right in the pocket of the red cape.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you have to remember that when it comes to Asylum films, these films have, for lack of a better term, shoestring budgets. They don't put a ton of money into the making of these films. They make it all in streaming and DVD sales. And, they do, and fast channels too, because of course the Asylum has their fast channels on various networks like Plex and Pluto and other fast networks. So it's one of those things where you sit there and say, great, they're making their commercial money. They'll probably make their money back fairly fast. 16%. I think maybe the better question to ask you is this, because you've watched a few Asylum films now, aside from the run of Sharknado films that we did before. We touched on a bunch last year and whatnot. Is this the worst Asylum film you've seen, or is this kind of in the upper tier of those?
don't know if that's a fair comparison because I have secretly enjoyed every Asylum film that has been on assignment.
Okay, well, it's not really so secret because you're here on a podcast and the world is listening to you.
And singing the praise, yeah. Okay, well, secret's out.
Mhm.
It's I love a good spoof,
Mhm.
whether it's a movie or whether it's an Asylum flick loosely based on an idea,
Ridiculously loosely based, yes.
a recycled, regurgitated idea from a movie concept, and this I love because it melds Disney properties and the Avengers.
And Grimm's Fairy Tales.
How can you go wrong with that?
But I mean, the funny thing too, when you think about it, like Grimm's Fairy Tales came out in like the early 1800s. So clearly it's in the public domain right now. And, people are sitting there complaining about all these like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey films.
Bambi.
Popeye the Slayer Man. Like films like that. And you could sit there and say, oh, crap, you're doing another public domain horror film. By the way, dear listeners, both Superman and Batman, those characters become public domain in the 2030s.
Oh, no.
You can just imagine. Well, I mean, Zack Snyder already kind of turned it into a horror film, so why not? But Grimm's fairy tale characters, totally public domain. And I like the fact that it's not a horror film kind of spinoff. Yes, superhero. And how many times have people have said, wait, all these Disney princess type characters have like powers, like Elsa has powers, Moana has powers. How many times have people have said, why don't we have the Disney Princess Avengers? Because you could have well done that. And here, the Asylum beat them to the punch.
Well, didn't they kind of attempt to do that animated style in like Wreck-It Ralph?
I think a little bit, yes. I mean, but you could have gone full Disney Princess Avengers.
Well, yeah.
You tell me. Disney puts together a show kind of akin to like the style of like Teen Titans Go with the Disney princesses in an Avengers type show. Like that show would kill. Also, Disney, you're welcome. But the Asylum got there first. And while it's not Disney Avengers, it's Avengers Grimm.
When I dropped the needle for the first time, wow, it was magic. The warmth, the texture, the way it pulled you into the music. If you want to feel that again, the Andover Spin Duo is where you start. It's not just a turntable. The Spin Duo comes with a Spin Bass 2 speaker, high fidelity, solid components, no flimsy plastic. It fills the room, and it's versatile enough to hook up to other devices via Bluetooth. And yeah, it even comes with a remote. Andover makes a whole family of gear. Spin Bass 2 Max if you want to step it up, or the Andover One if you're chasing true audiophile heaven. But here's the thing. For anyone getting into or back into vinyl, the Spin Duo is the easy, fun, no compromise way in. And right now, Pantheon listeners get 15% off at andoveraudio.com/Pantheon. That's andoveraudio.com/Pantheon. Drop the needle and join me back in the groove.
Hey friends, this is Audie Cornish, host of CNN This Morning and The Assignment, and guess what? Every story you care about, every angle you want unpacked is now streaming on CNN. That means you can catch my show or other CNN programming whenever you want on your favorite device. And a subscription also gets you access to exclusive video series and unlimited articles. So subscribe to CNN at cnn.com/subscription.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
But let's get to the breakdown of this movie. And we start with Lauren Parkinson, who played Snow White. This is the leader of the princesses that become Avengers. Your thoughts on her?
I have thoughts.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, because I want to say something nice.
Okay. So let me kind of paint the picture here. So the whole, by the way, spoilers like a mofo, but we're talking Avengers Grimm, so you're probably just going to take our word for it. So the whole premise is that Rumpelstiltskin invades this castle. Snow White is guarding it. The king, whoever it is dead. And Rumpelstiltskin forces Snow White to open the portal, which is basically the mirror on the wall, which can act as a portal, apparently, to a realm with no magic. So Rumpelstiltskin can go there and rule in a world with no magic. So he can kind of take over the world. He wants to play on easy mode. That's what he wants to do. So Snow White accidentally gets dragged through the portal with him and basically has to go undercover in modern day Los Angeles to try to stop Rumpelstiltskin. She's there for a while, then the other princesses show up finally, and then they all kind of team up to try to stop him. The thing here is this. They skip a lot of crucial plot development. A lot happens in this movie off camera. I would be fascinated to see the story of Snow White trying to acclimatize herself to modern day LA and that transition, because you are talking a queen who now has to basically go incognito in Los Angeles. And we kind of got that story a little bit with Red Riding Hood in this movie, but Snow White disappears into a portal, and then like 2 minutes later, she's driving a hot rod around and looking like she just came out of the nightclubs. And the other thing I have a slight issue here is that she's mean mugging through the whole damn thing. Like, I get they're trying to turn these princess characters into total badasses, but she went to 11. And that's one more than 10.
Thank you for that, because that was really my takeaway. I was like, she just seems mean.
Mm-hmm.
She seems mean to the other princesses. She's very much the leader and just really mean, like a really abrasive take on a princess.
Well, I mean, there's this motto that she's spewing out. It goes like, no one person is worth a kingdom. Okay, that's fine, but you tell that to your subjects and they're going to be like, I don't think I'm going to stay here.
Yeah, I don't know. Her character was really just hard to take. And, you kind of, I connected with the other princesses that we'll talk about later.
Mm-hmm.
I just found that she was just... The issue, the scene that I had, and we'll, I'm sure, circle back to this, but when Cinderella is trying to help the assistant,
mm-hmm.
and she's like, come on, let's go. It's not worth it. Well, okay, there's a human trapped in a mind control situation and is just going about like a robot. Yeah, it is worth it.
Yeah.
Take that time to care for others, for humanity, the subjects that are apparently not worth it,
I mean, to that token as well, I do like the fact that they kind of paralleled the almost like one-mindedness of Snow White in trying to stop Rumpelstiltskin with the one-mindedness that Red had in trying to kill the wolf, right? So you have these two people who are completely driven with like total blinders on, and the other princesses feel almost like the voice of reason at that point.
More on this later, but you know what? I agree with that. I think maybe the actress or the delivery of this character was, again, as you said, turned up to 11. It was just a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
Had it been dialed back, or had the roles been switched and the actress who played as Snow White, if she had played as Red, And vice versa.
You know, I kind of like that, actually.
I would have loved that.
Yeah, I think Lauren Parkinson would have made a good Red. I can see that.
Because Red was, for the most part, almost the rogue.
Yeah, she's vigilante, right?
She's there to get things done. She has her mandate. She wants to kill the wolf.
Right.
Right? So it would have worked. Her coldness, her, complete
single-mindedness.
Yes, her directness, her abrasiveness, I think, would have been a perfect fit for the role.
Yeah, because Red at this point is, if we're going to draw our Avengers comparisons here, you kind of have to go over to Avengers Endgame, where Hawkeye has, basically lost everything and lost all hope, and he becomes Ronin, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Red is basically Ronin at this point. And I think, yes, the delivery that Lauren Parkinson gave as Snow White would have worked better if she was Red. I think that's brilliant because she does come in with a badassness, but I don't know if Snow White is the character that should be as badass.
Exactly. Historically, and one would be led to feel that Snow White is very nurturing, caring.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she lives in the forest with, 7 men, small men that she's taking care of, and she's a caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
She is not an evil queen badass.
No.
So,
and I think part of the problem too here is that because of the name Snow White, they've given her like magical Elsa, like ice powers, and be able to like make everything cold. It's like Frozen, basically. Snow White is in Frozen at this point.
Shank you with a ice cube.
Right. But the problem there is that it's almost like they gave Snow White the ice personality as well, but that's not the character.
Exactly. And I wonder if maybe that was the intention now that you say it that way.
Yeah.
The Ice Queen.
Exactly. But Snow White's not an ice queen. She just happens to, have a thawed heart, if you will. But yes, no, I think Lauren Parkinson would have been fantastic as Red, given this same delivery. But that being said, we now need to talk about Elizabeth Peterson, who played Red Riding Hood. Your thoughts on her?
She was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I loved her energy. I loved her. She had that dark side, that laser focused,
she's Ronin.
Yeah.
She's absolutely Ronin.
But she was so laser focused. She had her mandate. She had her goal in mind, and that was it. However, I really liked that she kind of turned as a character and, started to join in the teamwork, right? Because everyone had their own special powers. They all started to work together, and then they didn't.
But the thing is, she also doesn't have special powers. She is so much the Hawkeye character. She's the Kate Bishop in this, right? Because she doesn't have special powers. She just happens to be a kick-ass archer.
She is kick-ass. That is her special power.
Which, for the record, did you notice that during the fight scenes with her, she got a little bit taller, but that's because the stunt double they got for her is actually a little bit taller than Elizabeth Peterson is?
Oh, I didn't notice, but I was like, her fighting skills, where she like grabbed onto Lou Ferrigno's chain and like had him by the neck, like good on her. Like she was very much, like the sniper, the Ronin character.
Yeah, it's like Hawkeye archery skills and Black Widow fight skills all in one person.
Yes.
But the other thing too is that even when she gets turned by Rumpelstiltskin, I still like the way she was acting because she wasn't a mindless kind of character. She was still uber focused, like laser focused on whatever it was, in this case, whatever Rumpelstiltskin had her doing, as opposed to her vendetta against the wolf.
Which made her even more dangerous, I think.
Like, I love your idea of what Lauren Parkinson could do as Red, but I don't think you lose as Elizabeth Peterson in Red. Like, it's great. It's fantastic. But do you lessen the film to put someone in a better role for them? Like, I think Elizabeth Peterson probably could have played Snow White, but then you lose that performance.
I don't think so. I think she would have brought the same intensity, but a bit of kindness.
I can see that. So this is kind of like your cast shuffle that kind of works out well.
Yeah, but nobody called me Asylum, I'm available for consultation at any point.
Dear David Michael Latt, producer at the Asylum, please, for the love of God, give us a call, because you know what? I would love to play in that sandbox one day. It'd be so much fun. Just send us. We don't even need like a blank check. We just send us like $20 and like a case of beer, and we'll come up with something for you. But
how very Canadian of you.
But Canadian beer, all right?
Craft beer. Good Ontario craft.
Damn right. Millen Sarley, who played Cinderella, your thoughts on her?
Oh, loved her.
You loved her hair.
Absolutely. I loved her hair. I loved her kindness. I loved everything about her. In fact, wasn't it when we were watching, you're like, okay, we've got, Snow White. We've got, obviously, Red Riding Hood.
Mm-hmm. Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, Rapunzel.
Mm-hmm.
And who is she?
Yeah.
And I'm like, of course, Cinderella. Of course.
Yeah, because no one really calls each other by their character names for a long time in this film, right? People just show up and are like, who the hell are these people, right? And you're left to literally figure it out, right? You have to sit there and go, okay, they're fairy tale characters. Oh, she can put people to sleep. That's Sleeping Beauty. Oh, she's got the long hair. Nah, it's Rapunzel. Cool, right? What the hell is she doing? She's changing things. And it was only until that scene where she put the curtain down and she changed it into a chain link fence. I'm like, oh, it's Cinderella. I get it. Changed the pumpkin into the carriage. I get it now, right? But the fact that they made her the conscience of the group. And really, that's the thing. You had Red Riding Hood, who was single-minded in her determination to kill the wolf, right? You had Snow White, who was single-minded in her mission to stop Rumpelstiltskin. The other three, this is where your conscience comes in. They're not cookie cutter. It's not the same character, just with different powers, which is a good thing. I liked what Millen Sarley did here. And then you had Mara Firecloth. And I apologize if I mess up any of these names. These are the first time I've seen any of these actresses in a movie, so bear with me. I'm trying here. Mara Firecloth, who was Sleeping Beauty, your thoughts on her?
I am very curious to check her filmography and to see if I've seen any of her work, if I'm familiar with her in a different role, because I'm not an actress, okay? I don't want to piss on someone's presentation of a character. However, I felt as a viewer, to be completely honest, I felt like I was watching like a high school play. I don't know if it was meant to be in the characterization that she was meant to be kind of a little bit meek, a little bit unsure. I found of all of the female characters, the strong female characters, she was in the background, and she's almost kind of looking to the other girls for, I don't know, for strength or acknowledgement when she's delivering her lines. Like, they spent most of her on-camera scenes where she's looking at someone else and then delivering a line. And I don't know if that was intentional. And if it was, great, it served a purpose. But I felt I wanted to see more strength of character from her. Mm-hmm. And I know that she can do it. She's a fantastic actress, I'm sure, in other roles, possibly. It was the first time I've ever seen her, but I really felt like I was like, you can do it, girl. Just do it. Just deliver the line. Give us something. Mm-hmm. And know that you can. You're here. Do it.
One of the things I liked about her character was that she, in some cases, she was so dismissively putting people to sleep. And it's just like, oh, that's a great power. I love that power for her. To give you an idea of some of her roles, she's had like one episode appearances in shows like American Horror Stories, CSI Vegas, Dave, Dollface, This Is Us. She's actually one of only two people from this movie to then appear in the sequel, Avengers Grimm Time Wars. So it's not a huge filmography. This is actually one of the first full films that she's actually been in. So it's maybe it's a newness. I don't know, but I do feel that of the three, she had arguably the best powers of the three, but maybe not the best performance of the three. But I like the inclusion of the character in this. Riley Vanderbilt, who played Rapunzel, your thoughts on her?
Badass. Kick ass. Loved her. Absolutely. From the first scene all the way through the movie, she was the most consistent in characterization, and she was a badass.
Oh, yeah.
She had the hair. She was whipping it around and just taking care of business. Like, she was on a mission. The girls were on a mission. Like, they knew their role, but she gave the most powerful performance.
Yeah. I think Cinderella had the least defined of her powers. Like, Sleeping Beauty was so spot on. Like, put people to sleep, but that's all good. Rapunzel, master of hair. And before you say, ooh, what a power, I remind you that Medusa of the Inhumans exists in the Marvel world. So you're welcome. Also, I'm sorry I had to remind you of the TV show Inhumans. I'm sorry. But I think Riley Vanderbilt is the one of the three that also has the best dialogue moments. Like, there's that scene where she's dealing with Iron John and, basically helping him see the light. It's like, do you see this? This isn't order. This is chaos, right? Because he's so focused on, he wants order because script says so. But it's one of those things where I find of the three, this is the one who's the most personable. This is the one who almost like took charge and wasn't necessarily the conscience of the group, but was the conscience of other people.
She had the strength of character.
Yes.
And she played it so well.
Yeah.
Like, I would have loved to have seen her maybe in more of a leader role.
I mean, I'm a little upset that they kind of lumped these three together and really didn't spend much time in introducing the characters or really having us. Like, you have to know your fairy tales in order to be able to get some of these characters. Like, if you've never watched a damn Disney film or read a fairy tale, you're like, who are you and why are you here and what do you do? I don't get it.
Well, that's exactly it. At the beginning of the movie, it sets up Snow White.
Yes.
Okay. We see that her superpower is to form icicles, to use to defend herself.
Not very
great.
well, but
Great. But, she has a superpower. There it is. I would have loved to have seen individual scenes, and it would have, taken a bit more time off the top. But really, we're just introduced to the three, and then Red Riding Hood comes in and hits Mr. Ineffectual with, it's like, who is this guy? Hits him with an arrow, and there we go. And then we're right through the mirror. And it's very much like, okay, well, here we are. Who do we have here?
Yeah. It's, if you're going to introduce three characters all at once, give them a moment in that opening scene so we can get an idea, or at least, have someone call someone by their name.
I was going to say some dialogue with some sort of introduction.
Yeah.
Like something.
Because, yes, they are talking to each other. That's fine. But because you have to remember, dear writers, you have to remember that we don't necessarily know these people, right? So you have to introduce them to us. And if you don't have these people, I don't know, talking to each other by using their names, then how are we supposed to know, right? Not everyone is going to be as familiar with some of these characters of literature as others. So just drop a name at least, right? Because let's be honest, some people do a lot of second screen viewing when they're watching a movie. And by that, I mean, they got their phone or they got a tablet or whatever, and they're looking things up. I know when we're watching films and we're kind of researching this, oftentimes we'll go to Wikipedia or IMDb. They're like, who the hell is this person? Who the hell is this person, kind of thing. So we are kind of second screen watching some of these films. Don't make me have to second screen and say, who the hell is this person? Especially on a film like this, because there's not a lot of details that are out there about these films. It's not you can click on the character name and go, oh, that person. Because you click on most of the Asylum character names, like, Yeah, we have no pictures of this movie. You know why? Because it's an Asylum film. Kind of mentioned him earlier. Iron John is played by Lou Ferrigno. Your thoughts on him?
Oh, absolutely fantastic. My only critique, if you will, choose one personality and stick with it. Because I found he was very hot and cold.
Mm-hmm.
He was very like, he's the leader of the gang. He's got his boys and, he's going to fight to defend them and keep them safe. And then it's like, okay, but no, I'm going to help you, Red. And, and then it's like, nope, I'm back to being a badass and, forget you girls. And then no, I'm going to help you out. He was wish-washy.
For a character that loves order so much, his whole personality is quite chaotic. And the other thing, too, is that they never really explain what he means by order, right? We meet this character in some weird back alley, half-built building kind of thing. And it's like, okay, cool. You're just some dude who's like metalworking in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Now, to answer your question, though, was it not order of society versus like the cops that were very much under the control?
But they didn't really get into that, right? Like you can't say, the way of order or something like that, and then not have him at least have some kind of pseudo villain monologue in order to be able to go along with it.
It was missing that, yes.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it's an Avengers Grimm film, and they kind of put the Avengers in here by turning him into quote unquote the Iron Man, even though Iron John is actually a character from Grimm's fairy tales. So poor Lou, they had to cover him with so much damn paint. And part of the problem here too, and it comes in post-production, is that once they turn him into quote unquote Iron Man, they put this effect on his voice, and it's sometimes hard to understand what he's saying at that point. Now, I know that Asylum films aren't always the best for recording dialogue, and they don't do any ADR. Like, it's all sound captured. It's all sound on tape, basically. It's all wild sound that they've captured. Don't do that to his voice if it's hard to hear. Kimo Leopoldo, who played the wolf. Now, he's a former MMA fighter now turned into acting. Your thoughts on him?
At the beginning, I was like, okay, who is this guy? He's a tad ineffectual. Is he a bouncer for Snow White?
Grunting a lot? No, for Rumpelstiltskin, because he was clearly there on Rumpelstiltskin's team, and his eyes looked like he was under that spell of Rumpelstiltskin.
Fair, okay, but, Rumpelstiltskin and Snow White went through the mirror and he was just left in this alternate... He was left in the castle.
Yes.
So I was very much like, who is he? Why is he? And then it made sense when I found out his name was the Wolf that Red Riding Hood should appear.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, again, a little bit of background information off the top would have been nice. It came about and became clear, by the end of the movie. And I really kind of liked his character build. I thought he was okay. At least I knew why he was there, what he was meant for. But yeah, I mean, he was good at the beginning. I was just like, why was he left? He was left on the other side.
The other thing, too, is they total speed run of that thing, right? So,
yeah.
Snow White and Rumpelstiltskin fall through the portal. The portal closes. The next scene we see is like the village is on fire. The town is on fire. And then right afterwards, 3 princesses show up in the middle of the, of the throne room that they were in. It's like, okay, a lot just happened in a short span of time. At least put something up says like 2 months later or something like that. Something to show us the passage of time.
Was he waiting in the castle for 2 months? I don't know.
I mean, good dog. Good doggy. Good doggy.
Did they feed him?
I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. But I mean, if you're going to speed run that kind of thing, at least put up a Chiron or something.
See, that was what I was challenged with is, did it happen right away? Or was there a set amount of time? Because there had to have been enough time for an uproar in the town, right? For the village people to set the kingdom on fire. Right?
Like, and the other thing too is when the princesses all fall through, and the wolf too, when they all fall through the portal and end up in LA, Snow White saying, "What took you so long?" Well, I don't know if you were paying attention, Snow White, but it's been about 2 minutes in the movie, so I don't know what you're complaining about as far. We got here pretty damn quick, and probably a lot quicker than we probably should have.
The ice didn't have a chance to melt.
No! So, this is a film that could have done with a little bit of Chiron help just to establish some timelines. Because if you had put, kind of stayed on that shot of the town burning 2 months later, right? You could sit there and imagine that this is some long, protracted defense of the town by the princesses. And then it kind of all boils down to the wolf basically gets in there, or they had to fight their way into the castle and the wolf was there waiting for them.
Ooh, I've got a new opening where you freeze frame on each one of the princesses and go, actress name, character, Cinderella. And then dun, 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 make it kind of very Kill Bill.
I was about to say, you're about to turn this into freaking Fox Force 5.
Yes. Yeah.
Although that being said, is it weird that I could easily picture Avengers Grimm as some kind of anime style movie?
Yeah, but show us their superpowers as well in the opening, right?
That's why I say an anime style, because the openings to those shows, there's always some little montage of the characters, they're doing their thing, and then the character name, and then another montage, and then the character name. Avengers Grimm, the anime series. Tell me this wouldn't be awesome.
We are literally printing money here.
Dear David Michael Latt, you don't have our phone number, but you can reach us at our website, notthatbadcast.com. We are literally begging you to create Avengers Grimm, the anime series. Oh, that would be so good. That would be so freaking good. So love that. Casper Van Dien, who plays Rumpelstiltskin, the big bad villain. Take it away.
I liked him. He was a badass. He was definitely, I liked that he was charismatic enough to be able to pull off the mind control of his assistant, go take the day off, forget about everything you just saw when the police show up at my office, just go grab yourself a coffee. It'll be fine. And then he had control of the police, which clearly, he was running the town. Mm-hmm. Not in a good way. Mind control is never a good thing, but
so we hear.
He played it well.
I find it funny because this is supposed to be a mockbuster of Age of Ultron because of the time that it comes out, right? But it feels like Casper Van Dien is putting all the Loki into his Rumpelstiltskin.
Loki, eh?
Yeah.
He was more of the Tony Stark, if anything.
You know what? Now that you put it that way, because remember that in Age of Ultron, Tony Stark is the unintentional antagonist. Really, Ultron is just the unfortunate outcome of Tony's meddling that turns into the bad thing. It's like if Tony Stark and Loki had a baby. It's Rumpelstiltskin.
I don't see the Loki at all.
No?
Help me.
The moments where he just kills people, as it were, where he mind controls them, very much like Loki did in the first Avengers film with the spear, with the Tesseract. There are aspects of Loki in Rumpelstiltskin, although I can see that Tony Starkness to his character as well. I'm not dismissing it. I'm just saying from a villain standpoint. But this is an Asylum film, right? So you're looking at an Asylum level villain. I want a monologuer. I want someone who's going to, this side of, evil cackle laughter kind of thing. Casper Van Dien's having fun with this.
I've got a better
analogy.
A better comparison. And that is Wanda.
I have a better comparison.
You're going to better my better?
Because consider that one of the things that Rumpelstiltskin is doing a lot of in this film is to make a bargain, to make a deal. Lucifer.
Ooh. Okay, yeah. This is very much the tell me your deepest desires.
Right? Although you tell me Tom Ellis wouldn't kill in this role.
Holy crap.
Right? Avengers Grimm would make bank if Tom Ellis was Rumpelstiltskin.
Dear Asylum, get Tom Ellis on the phone because holy crap.
Because that needs to happen.
Tom Ellis can do anything. He can even be the voice of a god cat. He is.
Right?
He is.
Oh, can you imagine him as the Doctor?
Oh, yes. Oh, please make that happen.
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Doctor Who because the last we saw of the Doctor regenerated into Billy Piper. So, what?
So there's a chance for Tom Ellis, you're saying?
Oh, please. Please.
Please, universe, please manifest that to be so.
One last character that I want to talk about here, played by Justine Heron. We're talking about Jessica, the assistant. Your thoughts on her?
Loved her. I'm so glad that you mentioned her. Because at first, when we first were introduced, it was like, is there something odd with her eyes?
And you thought she was a robot.
She gets up from her desk and it has that very robotic, calculated movement. And I'm like, no, she's a robot. Okay, it makes sense. And then it
Wait,
comes
how does her being a robot actually make sense?
Well, I mean, they went through a mirror into an alternate universe, and one is putting people to sleep, one is changing curtains to fences. I don't know, like Rapunzel's whipping around her hair. I can suspend a lot of belief here. However, wasn't she adorable? She was so good.
Once we realized that she was basically continuously under Rumpelstiltskin's spell, that she was basically mind warped and wiped a couple of times. Like it's almost like she was at the testing ground for the little flashy things from the Men in Black, But the minute that Cinderella was able to remove the trance from her, it was all of a sudden an instant change in the way she was playing Jessica. And at that point, I'm like, oh, I get it now. And it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I liked her a lot in this. For a character that initially I thought, I'm like, oh my God, who directed her? Why is she doing that? To the change, and it's like, okay, there was a method to the madness, and it actually makes sense.
It made total sense. And very quickly, actually. Very quickly. The minute that he dismissed her, I'm like, okay, she's under the mind control, because we started to see in that same scene with the police officer that was completely just zonkered by the time he left.
Yeah.
Like, we see his power.
Yeah. She's not like full thrall. Like she doesn't have like the Caecilius eyes from Doctor Strange, but there's almost like a puppet like motion to her walking at the beginning. And the funny thing is, Jessica makes more sense in hindsight once you see the full arc, right? Because it's kind of like she's a puppet that's being moved around by Rumpelstiltskin, which would also kind of explain the way she was walking.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I get it now. At first I was worried. At first I'm like, oh dear. Oh, they made a choice with her. But they made a choice, and there was a reason, and I liked it.
Once upon a mundane morning, Barb's day got busy without warning. A realtor in need of an open house sign. No, 50 of them, and designed before 9.
My head hurts.
Any mighty tools to help with this plight?
Aha!
Barb made her move. She opened Canva and got in the groove.
Bulk creating Canva sheets. Create 50 signs fit for suburban streets.
Done in a click, all complete.
Sweet!
Now, imagine what your dreams can become when you put imagination to work at canva.com.
One of the things that we kind of have to sit here and occasionally laugh at with some Asylum films is the plot. And while some of the moments of dialogue in this film are lacking a little bit, like character names, I find the plot to actually be not bad. When you consider, you have Rumpelstiltskin, who has the ability to control people, turn them into thralls, and he wants to go to a world where there's no other magic users, because clearly in this world with all these magical princesses, he is completely and utterly out of his league because they will team up against him. We assume, because there's a lot that happens off camera. So he wants to go play on easy mode. He wants to go play on easy mode in a world with no magic. Makes total sense, right? And then they have to stop him because they realize that they accidentally made this happen. And the Earth, or at least Los Angeles, is under his control, basically, because he's been maneuvering and manipulating everybody. I like the story in this.
I agree. Once it started to make sense, at first I was like, okay, so they're in another realm, kind of modern today, big city. But yeah, no, it kind of almost, again, I'm going to liken it to the WandaVision series, where Wanda had control over that small town, and the people within it kind of lost their own lives and self.
It's kind of like, and I hate to draw this comparison, but bear with me. This analogy will make sense in a second. So you take a kid who doesn't necessarily know how to swim that well, and you throw them into the deep end, right? And they start scrabbling right away because like, I don't know, what am I doing, right? But then they start doggy paddling, and then they realize that by doing that, they can stay afloat, and then they realize that's basically their first step in swimming. We got thrown into the deep end of the pool with this film right off the bat, and we had no idea how to swim. But then we started dog paddling, and that's when the story started to make sense, right? We literally learned to swim with the Avengers Grimm, and that rhymed, and that's awesome. That was completely and utterly unprepared for that one, but I'm going to take it as a win. But if you can get past the initial what the F is going on, you're actually in for a decent ride. So I ask you, going back to this, now that we've kind of broken down this film, Avengers Grimm, from the Asylum films that you have seen, is this a top tier Avengers or a top tier Asylum film? Is this a middle ground Asylum film? Or is this a bargain bin Asylum film?
I don't think that's a fair question, and I'm going to stand behind this answer. They are the makers of Sharknado, and I freaking loved Sharknado and that run.
Sharknado is like the unicorn of the Asylum, right?
Oh, it really is, and it's so good.
I know, but you take a look at a film like Transmorphers, and I take a look at Transmorphers as mid to low tier, right? Because there was a lot that was going on. I was like, Some of the upsides to this film is that I wasn't completely thrown off by horrible CGI. It didn't lean into stupid looking CGI monsters or aliens or something like that. The special effects that were in here, aside from the point where they started to turn Lou Ferrigno into the Iron Man, everything else seemed actually fairly good. The portal graphics, like the GFX there, that actually looked pretty good. So there is actually some decent production value in this one. To me, this is kind of like a top tier Asylum film.
If it answers your question, I would watch the second.
All right, so maybe we have a date for next year. Avengers Grimm Time Wars 2026.
Maybe. That's if I don't get my ass fired by then.
Maybe we have a date. Oh man, I'm struggling here, people here.
Yeah, that was kind of a bit non-committal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Damn.
Apparently, I'm going to have to throw some better movies at you along the way to convince you to go down this road. All right. So we've come to the end, not just of this episode, but of Mocktober itself.
I was worried there for a minute. You said we've come to an end. I'm like, oh, that's why I don't have a date.
You're the one who doesn't want to date me to watch Avengers Grimm Time Wars here, so.
It's been real, friends.
I'm just going to go in the corner and grab my Rumpelstiltskin. And that's how we end Mocktober. Okay, so Gary, who is your MVP of Avengers Grimm?
I've got to go with Jessica.
All right. I can see that, though. Justine Heron gave us initial worry, but eventually made it make sense. From an acting perspective, I'm going to go with Elizabeth Peterson, who was Red Riding Hood, because really there was a lot of good stuff coming out of her. But I also
Arrows.
Yes. But I also want to give a shout out to Jeremy M. Inman, who was the writer and director of this film. I mentioned the plot because I found the plot to be interesting. Dialogue, and I found from a directing perspective, this was actually one of the better directed films that I've seen from the Asylum. So kudos where kudos, are supposed to go. Jeremy and Inman did a very good job. Elizabeth Pearson was great on screen. This film, didn't mind it, surprised me. Carrie, thank you so much for this and all of Mocktober. And to you, our dear listeners, hey, you guys are awesome for listening to us talk about some of these films. And I hope you do actually take the time and go and watch them, even though you kind of know what's already happened. But go and watch it anyways, because believe it or not, even though they're not the biggest budget films, even though they're actors you may or may not know, even though they're characters you may or may not know, go watch it, because that is the joy of watching movies. Dive in, hour and a half, grab some popcorn, grab some snacks, grab a bevy, and just enjoy. Until the next time, though, you guys know the drill. If there's a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned, or there's no way in Los Angeles or a fairy tale that we can find anything good to say about it, hit us up on social media at NotThatBadcast, or go to our website at NotThatBadcast.com and brace yourself, because we're just this close to the entire Police Academy series run, all 7 films. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This has been Mocktober on It's Not That Bad, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.